Hello and welcome back. We were in Scotland where we know there can be only one podcast in the heart of you viewers.
And Ireland.
That's a little wink and a nod to the movie recommendation this week. But before we go ahead and get into that, if you can, subscribe to the channel down below. Mm-hmm. Click on the YouTube links that we have here for the videos that we're going to recommend, as well as our Gumroad page if you'd like to try to support the channel, keep this channel going.
Yeah,
that would be
check
wonderful.
out all of our great resources. We have tons of extra media and books and recipes and everything on all the countries. So Scotland and Ireland.
Let's start with Ireland. Ireland seems familiar. If people have been listening and following along, we spent a month in Ireland last year. Loved it. Want to go back. Awesome. We want to follow this young man around Ireland.
Yeah, so these are really cool scholastic books. We always talk about connecting what we're reading, as far as nonfiction stuff, connecting with other kids that are in that culture, because it just really helps our daughters. And it's one thing to just read about what the culture is like, but to show what a child's life is like. This is very much in the same vein of Children Like Me, except it's just a whole book.
Yeah, so a little bit more. It's more because I like it because it's Children Like Me will only have about a 2-page spread, maybe at most. This will give you about 7-8 pages, 10 pages, it looks like. Really good. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great book. So there's this Follow Me Around. I think there's Follow Me Around Germany, and there's Ireland, and they're a great series of books. So if you find them for any of the countries that you're studying, highly recommend. They are, last week we talked about the Living In, and we did Living in Egypt. Those books are going to be a bit on the easier side. These are a bit more elevated, kind of mid-elementary. So just know that going in, that's the difference between the Living In reader series versus the Follow Me Around.
Yep, absolutely. Fiona's Luck.
Yeah, this is, one of the tricking the leprechauns type books, right? There's always where the leprechauns are trying to be tricksy and then she gets the better of them.
Ariel, you know who was tricked this week? This guy into reading this book twice. You read it to her and then she came and said, no, we haven't read Fiona's Luck this week, Daddy. I need to read it. And our little one swooped me in, got me.
She keeps doing this to us because we got to start consulting with her. She's doing the same thing that the dog does when she gives you those eyes that tell you that you didn't feed her, but you really did.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a really cute story. It's just about tricking the leprechaun. So if you want to read a leprechaun story, I think this was one of the most fun. We're going to talk about one other one that had a little bit to do with the leprechauns, but this has more. So this was a great
leprechaun king right there.
Option.
Yeah, it was leprechaun story without being kind of like the stereotypical leprechaun story. Obviously the little leprechauns are like just little people. I thought it was really fun. It was playful.
Yeah,
it was cute. Kind of that trickster tale. I liked it.
Yeah, it's a solid choice.
Next one, O'Sullivan and her stew, tasty stew.
So my girls love this book. In fact, our older daughter was like, do not read O'Sullivan's Stew without me.
This is a longer story.
This is a much longer story.
A lot of these books are sit-down reads that, 15 minutes maybe.
They're more like 5 minutes.
This is a more substantial story. You dive into it and you go, wow, there's a lot of writing,
Yeah, this was a solid 20 plus minutes kind of thing. So one of the things I really like is that when we do these different countries, I get to play act, and so I get to play with my terrible Irish accent. Act as the reader.
You're not Oklahoma extra number 7.
Yeah, I try to act, and the girls love it. They absolutely love all the different voices and things. This is a really fun one about a girl who is her and her dad and her brothers get in trouble with the king, and they were trying to rescue a horse. Anyway, but she starts telling these tall tales of all the things that have happened to them in order to convince the king that they've been in a worse situation some other time. You need to release them. And it just gets wilder and wilder. My girls are glued to this story. If there's only one book that you read for Ireland, if you only have one time for one, this is the one.
This is the Build Your Library recommendation?
I believe it is, yeah. And it's so good. I'm so glad we own it.
Yeah,
because our girls love this story. And like I said, my older daughter was like, don't start it without me. And then we took a break in the middle to get a snack, and we were coming back to it. And she was like, do not go any further without me. I have to pee. I'll be right back.
This is worth a buy.
Yeah, yes. I would totally buy this book. I think it's really, really cute, and we love it. So,
Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato.
Yeah, so this is cute. This is about this really lazy guy who ends up catching a leprechaun, and it's of course the leprechaun tricks the guy, and he asks for the world's biggest potato, and it's all about the townspeople. They
can't go wrong.
They grow this big potato, and how are they gonna it starts blocking the road, and it's this huge thing, and it's a Tommy DePaola, which he writes all kinds of different books, set in different countries and things, and they're all good. But this one is really cute. It's fun. I think this is probably the weakest of all the selections. So if you only have time for a couple, I do O'Sullivan's Stew and Fiona's Luck. But if you have time, this is a really good choice too.
Now, with regards to movie recommendations, we didn't have specifically anything for the kids for Ireland this week, but we did do. We watched Brooklyn, which was Saoirse Ronan's great movie. I think she was up for Best Actress, and it was up for Best Picture about. Gosh,
I think it was 2016. Actually, I think it was like a longer time ago than we think, or maybe 2019. I don't remember.
It was a while ago, and it was just
really good.
It's just a great story. You're firmly in Team Anthony.
I was Team Tony.
Team Tony, and I'm very clearly in Team General Hux.
Team Jim.
Team General Hux, and we were split there on that one. It was very funny. Normally we kind of go in the same direction, but so we watched Brooklyn.
It's a romance movie, and it's a romantic drama that doesn't end in any kind of terrible tragedy. I will spoil that for you because I hate to invest like 2 hours and then it ends in tragedy.
In some respects, there were no bad guys in the movie. Like there wasn't like a really mean antagonist or anything like that. There wasn't. It was just it was almost wholesome in some respects.
It was a great movie. It has a lot of it is set in Ireland, of course, but also if you're studying the United States and you want to do New York, it's a great immigrant story coming to Brooklyn and what that was like in, I want to say it's the 50s. So you could also watch it for that. But we really enjoyed it, and this is going with our trend of trying to watch an adult movie or read a book or something to help kind of enhance the learning for us.
If they don't have a chance to watch Brooklyn, they could watch The Boo's a Family Favorite. Do you know the Wade Innisfree?
Yes. So we didn't watch The Quiet Man.
Which is very off-brand. Like any excuse for us to watch The Quiet Man, we will watch The Quiet Man.
Right. It's one of these things that I've watched it since I was like a tiny kid. We've always watched The Quiet Man every year. So now we watch it every spring.
When we went to Ireland, we went to Kong, where they filmed it. Like it was a pilgrimage for us.
Now, it is a movie of its time.
Very much.
So not all things are great. Just know that about it. But it is a classic. And John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, if you haven't seen The Quiet Man, I think it's really worth a watch because it's...
John Ford.
It almost won Best Picture. It was like robbed of Best Picture. It's a 4-star movie. It's great. So because we had just watched it this spring, we decided not to watch it again. But otherwise, that would have been the natural selection. And it's a classical movie.
So one of the big things we've been pushing for in this Trekking the Globe, trademarked Homeschool Together, is outings and activities and fun things to go and do.
Oh, do you want to? I'm going to stop you just briefly, because we didn't get to mention that our older daughter read The Magic Tree House, Leprechauns in Late Winter.
That's right. Totally forgot.
We don't want to. She's away at camp right now, so she's not like on our mind every moment.
She doesn't exist. She's in the temporal space of unknowing.
On a week of Girl Scout camp, and I'm really missing her. But I did want to mention that she read that book on her own, which is a big deal for her. We were really proud of her for doing that. So that was our Magic.
We did have to push a little bit. We said, hey, you have a deadline.
Right. It's like 11 chapters.
11 chapters. Yeah, you can do 1 or 2 a day, and she was able to do it. We were really proud of her. That was really impressive. So back to the outings.
Sorry.
One of the big things that we've been trying to do is to have excursions and do things. It's kind of like a cultural enrichment. That takes us to Scotland, which takes us to the Highlands, which naturally will take us to the Highland Games that happened to coincide this week. That happened because we had planned to study Ireland and Scotland this week because the Highland Games in our local area were going on, the county to the north of us. And we were able to enjoy that. And
it was a wonderful experience. You'll find Highland Games going on in the summer. I think they're always in the summer, right?
Pretty much, I think so, yeah. It's kind of like a summer solstice type of thing, right?
No, I don't know the summer solstice. But
they had a solstice thing.
There's so many outdoor... I think we're making that up.
We're making stuff up.
They have so many outdoor events and things that I think it's always usually done in the summer or spring, I guess, if it's nice in your area. Yep. But the Highland Games was wonderful. So there's all kinds of sports, where they throw like logs and they throw like a kettlebell. But what is it called?
It was like a weighted toss.
It was called something else. But
and there was the
looked
big
like a
log toss
kettlebell.
that's, I think, cable or cabble. Here, actually, we have it right here.
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, the caber toss, and then the sheaf toss.
Oh, the stone toss is
The
what I'm
stone
thinking
toss,
of.
yeah, that was the other one, yeah. So there were a bunch of activities like athletics that was really cool and caught my eye. Might have to start training for that next year. But they also had a wonderful kids area where they allowed the kids to enroll in playing a bunch of games, golf, doing their own toss. They had a haggis toss, which was a shovel throwing a stuffed sheep over a bar.
Yeah.
It was so cute and everything. It was
They
really
had
fun.
archery.
They had archery, and yeah, it was really fun. They also had food. They had a whole clans section where the people of the area who were part of these families in Scotland had basically a tent for to showcase, here are all the people that we know that are part of our lineage. Here's all the other names that are part of our lineage. Here's the region we're from. And it wasn't just one or two. There were like 20 of them.
20 tents.
And part of it was they gave passports to all the young kids, and your job was to go and get the stamps of the various clans and various activities in your book as you went through. So we were constantly going to all the booths.
Yeah.
And so while they were getting everything stamped, we were having the opportunity to read the signs and interact with people and just see people passionate about their heritage and their culture.
It was super cool.
They had dancing, and we do
there
a lot
was
of
a ton of
Irish
dancing.
We do Irish step dancing with our daughter, but
Well,
seeing the Scottish,
she does Irish step dancing.
I do not dance.
Yeah, let's just preface it. We're not dancers.
It's the royal we. It's we as the family who has to sit and watch it all the time. We saw some Scottish Highlands dancing, which was very different for
Very cool.
amazing calf and Achilles work on that one to bounce as much as they do. It was a lot of fun. There were other activities, and it was just really great. It was a great time.
The Children's Museum had a whole booth. That's where they made this cool flag, and they got
All
these.
Whenever you participated in one of the events, they gave a little, awards and
they gave like
whatnot.
paper dolls out.
These are the ones that are survived.
Yeah, these are the ones that weren't cut
Cut
up.
them up, and then they gave you kind of a heritage catalog, which we have. I don't think they colored. No, they did not get to this one as much.
colored a little bit.
A little bit on this one here. A little bit of the dancing one here, and
But
stuff. So
it was cool, and
just a bunch of activities.
They had an area where you could play sword fighting, and they would teach you different. And they,
Was that a hit?
yeah, our older daughter did so much, she actually got like a blister on her hand because they were doing it so much. And it was really fun too because the food, there was some typical fair food. Your corn dogs, your what is it, curly fries in the shape of a rectangle, that came out of the fryer.
The whole fryer, the whole thing.
So there was that typical fair food, but there was haggis there and beans. There was also there was the pie booth that had all the different pies.
Meat pies.
Meat pies. Oh, there was chicken and there was a
beef one.
lamb and beef. Oh, and they were excellent.
Yes.
So there was that too. So it was great because we got to try some of the food as we were having this day experience.
And we also took the opportunity to drag my folks with us, and they had never been, and they were like surprised at how cool it was and how much fun. So it was just a great day for us to kind of get out, see something we had never done before, have the girls experience that. The tickets were fairly affordable.
It was like, I think it was $55 maybe for the entire family, for the four of us to go for a family ticket. And then now we heard and saw a lot of bagpipes. I mean, the bagpipes was...
How could we leave off the largest portion of the entire
Yeah,
thing?
you almost need to maybe bring some earplugs with you because depending on how close you are to the bagpipe competition, it's significant.
I think it was at least 100 bagpipes, maybe more. They had drums.
There was so many.
There was a whole parade of them. They were constantly performing on these outdoor booths. I mean,
everywhere you went, there was bagpipes performing and
all the time. It was just it got you into it though, right?
There was this opening ceremonies for the games where all of it was
procession of the clans.
Yeah, the clans all processed in and the youth band with the bagpipes and the drums and everything. It was so cool.
It was a lot of fun.
We had just an excellent time, and I think it was the perfect way to kick off this study.
It was the start of our whole week. So it was like we kicked off Scottish Highlands Games and the event there, and then we rolled into the week.
Yeah, so this is our first big event we went to, and highly recommend that you do something like this when if you can schedule it in your year to study Scotland when something like this is going on, because it was awesome.
It was well worth it. Now, We did have some books we read.
We did.
So there's a whole series of these. Let's call them the awesome
So there are
folk
these
tales.
traditional Scottish tales, and they have this circular banner here.
We have a bunch of them here, and we'll go through them all. So this is the first
all
one,
good.
the Tale of Tam Lin. This is again a folk tale, but told in, I think, we always have some issues with folk tales and the way the story structure is. It can be a little awkward. These are more modern tellings of these folk tales, and this is the Tale of Tam Lin, but a young man stolen by the fairy queen in the woods, and the young girl Janet, who comes and tries to help him and save him and rescue him from the forest, from the fairy queen. Just beautiful artwork, fun story, can be read in a single sitting very easily. Just absolutely gorgeous and fun tales. The next one that is the Dragon of Storeworm, and this is basically a story of basically the entire of Scotland is covered with this giant dragon, and the dragon wants to eat the princess, and the princess needs of course a young man to come and shush away the dragon, get him off the island or the mainland, and go fly away. And there was this it's just a fun story about how they defeated the dragon. And then where the dragon ended up, I won't spoil it. He took off from Scotland and landed somewhere else where there may be a lot of volcanic activity in the North Atlantic. We don't know. So that's where he basically settled. And so it's this really cool story about this dragon and the geography of Scotland and how the dragon impacted that. So it's a really cool folktale around the land.
These are so good.
The next one is the Selkie Girl. And let me tell you what. My youngest wanted me, so whenever she knows I'm joking, she goes, "Daddy, tell me the real truth." And sometimes, a good dad, we just gotta, when you feel like you lean into it, right? You just keep it going. I said, so yes, there are these little girls on the beach, and they have their skins of seal skins, and they're selkies, and they can transform. They're kind of like Scottish mermaids. And she's like, "Daddy, tell me the real truth. Is this a real story?" I said, "I don't know. I'm reading the story. It could be real. We don't know." Really fun story about a young boy who finds a selkie skin, and the girl can't transform back into the seal to go back out to the water. And she and he become really good friends, and eventually she gets her skin back, and she's able to be his friend and help him and his father be a fisherman. Really fun story. My daughter loved it. My youngest loved this story.
So if you read a story like this and you're really into it, you can watch Song of the Sea, which is a great movie made by the same people that did Secret of Kells and the Wolf Walkers. That's all about a selkie. So that can be fun if you want to add a movie to kind of go with that one.
The Secret of the Kelpie.
Yeah, so this is cool. It's
essentially a water horse, right?
Yeah, it's a water horse. It's another folk tale about a girl whose siblings all get on this water horse, and it starts to lead them into the loch to drown them, and she's got to save them. So another folk tale, again, done beautifully. Any of these traditional Scottish tales are fantastic. The reason we did 4 of them is just because we can never decide which one to cut. So we get all the ones at the library.
And this is the hardback version. Those were the paperback versions.
Yeah.
No difference between the two.
But yeah, if your library has them at all, definitely check them out. If not, I would say maybe the best one of these is maybe the Tale of Tam Lin, if you had to buy one.
Yeah.
Because your library doesn't have one, so you can check the links below.
If you have a girl or a kid who likes mermaids, the Selkie one would probably be my recommendation. So. Yep, absolutely. Continuing on, we talked about how we enjoy. Oh, let's do a little bit of movies since we're doing Scotland.
Yep.
Obviously, the redheaded princess, one of the best princesses, Merida. We watched Brave. We had a sleepover actually.
Yep.
With her friends, and we forced them to watch Brave in order to get a little homeschool.
They did not complain.
They did not complain. Little homeschool, so they were able to watch that. And obviously, at the beginning of this video, we made a reference to one of Ariel's. The memories of childhood do not always add up to the quality of what we remember experiencing.
Boy.
So Ariel and I sat down and we watched the collector's edition of
the Immortal Edition.
The Immortal Edition, one of the great soundtracks of all time.
That's true.
The Highlander movie from the 80s with Christopher Lambert, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, the music has held up beautifully. And the movie,
did not
so much. I have great memories of it, but
Sean Connery as the
Spaniard.
Spanish that has a Scottish accent. Very confusing.
I had really great memories. This was like one of our favorite movies when I was younger in my family. But ooh, yeah, it didn't hold up great. It was really
I remember
good
watching
fun.
the opening scene where the guy's flipping around underneath the parking structure, and we're on the couch, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, are we watching this? What is this?
Okay, it was a little rough. It was fun though.
It was great.
If you want something that's purely fun and has amazing music,
Yeah.
Highlander was campy fun, which is
80s
great.
camp,
It was campy 80s fun. So we enjoyed that. Not appropriate for kids.
No.
But we enjoyed it. The other thing that we did, so we had Scottish food at the Highland Games, but for Irish food, you're thinking of your traditional soda breads and things like that, fish and chips. We didn't, because when we were in Ireland, actually, we found that you could get fish and chips basically everywhere and soda bread, but other traditional
Stews
Irish
and things like
foods,
that, yeah.
you couldn't get them all over. You could really only get them in tourist joints because they really like spices.
Yes.
They like curries and Asian spices and just
Specifically, spice bag.
yeah, they just like a lot more spice than you would think.
Let's describe what a spice bag. We'll put a link to the spice packet that we use, the McDowell's packet.
We brought it home.
So essentially, it is chicken nuggets that have been, or chicken fingers that are kind of chopped up. So we have the Kirkland chicken nuggets that are really good.
Chicken breast nuggets.
And then it's peppers and onions and fries, crispy fries. So everything is chucked into the bag. Kind of like the melted down peppers and onions with the chicken nuggets, which the fries all mixed together, and the spice is tossed in there.
Yeah, it's a stir fry kind of thing.
But it's kind of like a five spice. There's like a five spice element.
Five spice in there, and it's really great. It's Asian spices. So you basically cook your chicken and your French fries, and you can fry them or bake them. We baked them to try to be like a little bit healthier. And then you heat up a wok, and you throw in garlic in there, and then your peppers and your onions, and you stir fry that really quickly. And you add in all your cooked fries and chicken, and you stir fry that all together real fast, and then you dump in this Chinese 5-spice mix. I can't even quite describe it.
It has a little bit of 5 spices. Yeah.
And
I think it's like the cardamom in there or something like that.
I mean, yeah, it has Chinese 5-spice. It's actually one of the ingredients. So, and then you just pile it all up, and it's like a takeaway kind of thing, like a takeout.
We made non-spice versions for the girls, but we gave them a little bit on the side, and they were trying it. And we didn't even care. Ariel and I were just eating it.
Well, our older daughter, she ate the spice bag version. The younger one,
it was a little spicy for her, though.
Yeah, the younger one could take it. It does tend to be a little bit spicy, and you can actually. I was supposed to make it spicier, but I didn't add any chili peppers. But I could have. So it's this really popular thing that was invented, I think, in Dublin, and you can find them everywhere. And we had the most excellent spice bag ever in Dublin. So it's funny for us. The memory of that is actually this totally not traditional Irish thing, but that they love. And it's amazing how many Asian flavors and curries and things you find. Like they have curry sauce at McDonald's in Ireland for a fry sauce. Yeah. They love different kinds of curries, and they have like a spicy Asian mustard too. So it's kind of funny. It was not what we were expecting,
but it was really
it's one of our best memories.
Yep.
So speaking of memories, the other thing that we did for Ireland is I looked through our photo album. I put together this great photo album in Canva. I used Canva to do all of our digital scrapbooking. And it took us like over a half hour because it's a lot of pages. Yeah. And we looked through, the girls and I read through the entire trip, and I had written
kind of
on every page.
And everything, yeah.
We reminisced and remembered. So that was kind of how we wrapped up the week, because we had the spice bag, and then we looked at our album to remember our trip and where we'd gone. So.
But also with our week that we're trying to do is instead of doing animals, we're kind of focusing on the biomes. And so for Scotland this week, we focused on the lakes. And obviously the lochs are very famous. We watched a number of videos, talked a little bit about kind of freshwater ponds type of thing, or lakes. We have a nice eyewitness book talking about ponds and rivers. Nice, maybe elevated discussion about kind of the foliage and the animals and critters that tend to live along kind of freshwater elements. So if you're looking for a simple recommendation on biomes with respect to freshwater lakes or kind of rivers element, this would be a good one for you to do as well.
Yeah, I don't believe they have a lakes eyewitness, and a lot of this is applicable because it's freshwater fish and freshwater plants and that kind of thing. So with all the pond elements, so it totally works. So this is a good one. And then we looked at our spine again, our beastly biomes.
Beastly biomes.
So this is where we got the overview of the biomes that we're going to do, and it has a spread on freshwater. So this is what we read first. We read this spread in beastly biomes and talk about that, and then we go into our other books.
And this week was the aquatic adventures, which I think is the carry on from the desert one. I think we did, or the tundra one that we had done.
Tundra last week.
We did the tundra one, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, that was it.
So yeah, we can show kind of
This
what
one
this looks like.
talks about all types of aquatic areas. So you're talking about oceans, lakes, rivers, kind of beaches, coral reefs.
Talks about wetlands.
Wetlands as well. So it kind of covers the gambit of it. So you maybe pick and choose which area, especially if you're focused on freshwater areas as your biome. You'll have to maybe pick and choose through here. Or if you're just kind of doing like a more of a broad touch, you can do a whole aquatic thing with this and touch all the various areas. We also watched a number of videos on YouTube, specifically about Loch Ness, and we talked about Loch Ness Monster. Watched a nice fun video about that. We watched a nice video about the geology of the Great Glen that cuts, basically this like straight line that cuts through the middle of Scotland, almost like somebody took a I don't know, X-Acto and just cut it in half. And watched a lot about the geology of that, how it was separated a long time ago into two different land masses and it joined, and that's kind of where the fault line comes from. So it was a really cool learning about, Scotland and its geography and all that type of stuff. And then we watched a little bit of Somebody Feed Phil.
Right, he was in Scotland.
He was in Scotland, Edinburgh and Glasgow, I think is where
it was so good that we were like, when can we book tickets? The food looked amazing.
Yeah, especially, what was it, the gyro guy? The
shawarma king.
The shawarma king.
So good. Anyways, again, not something you'd expect for one about Scotland.
Yeah.
But it was great. So that's Somebody Feed Phil. That's on Netflix. He's super cheesy, but very genuine.
This one he actually brought his family along, which was kind of fun.
It was very cool. We have enjoyed watching it, and he gets into a lot of the food and a lot of the culture, so that's fun. The one other thing that our kids were going to watch, but we didn't quite get a chance, we did the last time around, was The Water Horse.
Yes.
And I don't remember which streaming service that one's on, but it's streaming right now. I'll put it in the show notes. And that's a really good one on Loch Ness. So if you want one on the Loch Ness Monster, that's a great one to do. It's not scary or anything. It's a movie for kids. But I remember that we watched it last time around, and our daughter really loved The Water Horse. So that would be a good option if you want a Loch Ness type movie.
We are going across the water.
Across the pond.
Across the pond to France. And we're going to be there for the next 2 weeks, celebrating the Olympics. And we're going to be doing kind of our Olympic study. If you haven't had a chance, head down into our old podcast feed. You'll hear us talk about what we're going to be doing, some ideas to do for the Olympics and kind of what we're going to be doing for the Olympics. So we've coincided studying France during the Olympics because obviously that is where it's being held, and all the events and all the fun events that are going to be in various historical landmarks, Versailles and in front of the Eiffel Tower. They're going to have a ton of fun things. So we're going to be blending a lot of our study with the Olympics, and we're going to probably be watching a lot of sports. And so it's going to be great.
You're probably noticing like, guys, this video just came out and the Olympics was months ago. And to that, I would say that
preparation is key.
because we have an incredibly busy fall, and we're just trying to make sure we get ahead on videos before we are so swamped we don't have time to do this. And we really love doing this and helping everybody and sharing our journey. So
but we have
if you're noticing that you're like, guys,
buffer,
it's like been a minute since the Olympics. Sorry. Yeah. That's just how we have to do it to keep going. But we appreciate you watching. We appreciate your support. Please subscribe. Check out our links below. Help this humble channel to keep going. And stay tuned for next week.
See you guys.